All right, step number 7, consult your coach and always be coachable. I would probably tell you right now that this is one of the biggest differentiators between successful people and unsuccessful people. And if you think about all the people in world history who are known as the greats, they all had a coach, they all had a mentor. And before we get into what this really means, I wanted to start off with the 4 stages of growth. Maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't, but there's 2 words here. The conscious and unconscious part deals with your awareness level, and the incompetence versus the competence part deals with your knowledge base. So when you start off anything brand new, there's really 4 stages in a growth process. And we all start off as unconscious incompetence, meaning that you're not even aware of the things that you don't know yet, right? It's so brand new, you're not even aware of all the stuff. That's why they say ignorance is bliss. Then you move into a new stage referred to as the conscious incompetent. And that's now where you become aware of the things you don't know. Like right now you might be saying, oh my gosh, I'm aware of all the things I don't know. Am I ever going to learn this? How am I ever going to know this? How long is it going to take? And when you become aware of the things you don't know, it can feel overwhelming. But just be okay with the fact that it's a stage in the growth process. The third part is the conscious competence. That's when you are now aware of all the things that you do know. And you know that you know how to do something and that it takes effort. The last part, the ultimate part that we all strive towards, is the unconscious competent. That's the person who is not even aware of how good they are because it becomes so second nature and you're considered to be an expert, but you're so good at it. Well, how do you reach the stage of becoming an unconscious competent? Well, practice and repetition and doing something over and over and over and over again, right? If you do anything long enough and enough times, you can become extraordinarily good at it to the point where you're not even aware of how good you are, but others recognize that in you. So wherever you are in this process, I think this chart really helps you relate to the process itself and the people who you bring into the business. It's the same with them. So when you reach the stage of being an unconscious competent, don't forget that people and you were at one point an unconscious incompetent. So it's all about the process. Now, we went around and asked people about the coaching portion of this whole thing and what they thought a coach was. One woman said, to me, a coach is a person who is your friend, someone who really cares about you, and a coach is committed in helping you be the best you can be. Now, she also had a question as to whether or not the word coach was being overused these days. So also, somebody else said coaching is partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Interesting definition. Somebody else said a coach is a person who gets others to do things they don't like and they want to actually do them. Or the last person said a coach, someone who finds your strengths, someone who finds your weaknesses, one who is brave enough to tell you this and can drive you to be the best while finding the support to help you overcome your deficiencies. Well, I was lucky enough to hire a coach a few years ago, and he gave me the example of the difference between a coach, a consultant, and a mentor. And this was not a right or a wrong thing, just the differences between the 3. And we all need each of these different kinds of people in our life at different moments of time. So the example that we used to compare all 3 of these was riding a bicycle. And he told me that a consultant is somebody who would come in there if you're thinking about riding a bike and teaching somebody else how to do it, and a consultant would come in there and give you kind of the how-tos. They would give you a PowerPoint presentation. They would break it down for you about physics and centrifugal force and gravity and the wheels and motion, and they would basically go through the logical brain aspect of how riding a bicycle works. Now, a mentor, on the other hand, would grab the bike, they would ride it around the front yard or the driveway, and they would come back and they'd say, look it, I did it, and if I can do it, you can do it, right? So a mentor is somebody who's been down the path that you want to go down. You've watched them go down that path. You've seen that they've arrived, and you want to just follow step by step what they do to get the same results they've got. Now, riding a bike, it's hard to mentor somebody by just showing them that you've done it. So now what does a coach do that's different? Well, a coach helps you actually find balance. That's the key distinction. And when you find balance, you've got that forever, right? It clicks. You know when you found balance. So a coach might run behind you and hold the back of the seat. They might offer encouragement. They might let you go for 10 yards. You might wobble a little bit. You might fall and get a little dirty. Maybe you scrape your knees, but they'll keep picking you up and keep encouraging you and keep moving you on. And then once you click, once you find that balance, you got it, right? And that's the purpose of coaching. And the best way for helping people find balance in this business is helping them along the process, but you have to do the work, right? You're the one with the helmet on. You're the one with the bike. You're the one that's going to wobble and fall and get your knee scraped and get rejected and be told no, and your friends won't call you back. And the coach, we're there to help make sure that you keep going and keep going and keep going. Because ultimately, you want to live the life of your dreams, and it's going to be hard right in the beginning. It can be very, very challenging. So finding balance is when you actually get some customers. You see how the back office works. You see how the technology works. You finally get paid. You see how the payment processing works. So it's all about finding balance. Now, one of the best coaches of all time and one of my all-time favorites is a gentleman by the name of John Wooden. He was known as the Wizard of Westwood. And he's a motivational figure on the court sidelines during his time as head coach at UCLA. He had a very unique way of inspiring his players with just a simple, calm approach to success. And as a result of his tactics and his teachings and his coaching, he won 10 national NCAA basketball championships in a 12-year period, including 7 in a row. That is an untouchable feat in any sport. And he's become beloved by his players and fans and one of the most recognized coaches of all time. And he created a pyramid of success that I put down below for you as a PDF so you can actually download it. And I would actually encourage you to study this. It is one of the most brilliantly put together documents on his leadership style and the things that he felt were the most important. Probably why he actually was just such an extraordinary leader for his people. And then there's been so many other great coaches over time. Vince Lombardi and Phil Jackson and Pat Summerall and Mike Krzyzewski. You got Mike Ditka and Casey Stengel and Dean Smith. I mean, they're all Bill Belichick. I mean, they're all. It's fascinating. They all have their own personalities, but they were all driven, right, to be the best that they could be, and to really bring out the best of all their players. So mediocrity was not the game that they were playing, and unless you're willing to hold yourself to a higher level, and unless you're willing to know exactly what your game plan is and what kind of culture you want for your team, because right now you're building up your own organization, right? You're going to be known as one of these coaches. You're going to be known as the person who built a team of people who won national championships, or not. And you have the capacity to build a winning team. So let's break this down for a minute. Are you coachable? Well, we know you're being coachable when you don't get defensive when people offer alternatives or disagree, when you invite and appreciate feedback, when you ask peers and team members and managers and other people to offer you coaching. Yes, you actually think being coached is a good thing. You think about it, you process, consider, and occasionally use ideas that you get from other people. You stay on a learning curve and keep challenging yourself. You know and can openly discuss your strengths and your weaknesses. And you handle failures well, meaning honestly, constructively, quickly, and you actually get into action to solve the problem. Now, you know you're being uncoachable when you don't listen and an invisible barrier goes up when others offer you ideas. Right? Jim Rohn has a great one there, and he says, every time you're thinking about saying, oh, I know that. I know. We all do that, right? A barrier goes up right away. It's an invisible barrier. So every time you want to say, I know that, replace that thought with, isn't that interesting? And trust me, it'll open up the universe to speak to you in a much different way, where you can actually receive information. Okay, so secondly, you know you're being uncoachable when you get defensive and you need to be right. How about when you do all your own thinking, right? Only the weak ask for input. Or you know you're being uncoachable when you're not interested in being coached. You are neither aware nor willing to talk about your weaknesses. You interpret suggestions as criticism. You take everything personally. And you dismiss the ideas and assistance of others. So here's some ways that we can all improve our coachability. Okay, you can improve your coachability by adopting a belief that to achieve your goals in life, you need to be highly coachable. And when you are coachable, success comes easily and quickly. You can also increase your coachability by changing how you define looking good or doing a good job. Right? Don't worry about that. Just be open to being coached. When you can also reverse your belief that you need to be right to be a success. I'll prove him. It doesn't really work that way. You will create more success if you focus on getting results and utilizing many ideas and perspectives than just your own. Also, recognize that there's times when you are more coachable than others. So if you don't feel coachable, just say, you know what? I don't feel like I'm in a place right now to receive the great coaching that you have to offer. Would you mind if we touch base later on or tomorrow when I'm in a better place to be more receptive to what you have to offer? I just don't feel like I'm in a good place right now, and I'm not going to be a good student or a good player. And also ask for coaching, right? Ask for ideas, ask for input, and get into a dialogue about things that matter to you. That's really important. So the last thing here I wanted to point out is humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is just thinking of yourself less. Great. See you in the next video.